The Tennessee Titans are incredibly stupid, man. They made a decision today that is going to come back to absolutely bite them in the ass. They made the decision from ownership, Amy Adams Strunk, to fire head coach Mike Vrabel. I do not understand the baseline of the decision to fire an established head coach who has led your team to multiple winning records, an appearance in the AFC Championship game, multiple playoff appearances, has established a culture that players love to play under. He has gotten a ton of respect from almost every single guy he has played with. You hear Taylor Lewan and Will Compton talk about it in the videos that they released right after Vrabel got fired. The culture that Vrabel set in that Tennessee Titans locker room was second to almost no other culture that they had been in before. What Vrabel was able to do, what he was able to do to get the most out of his players, what he was able to do to get those guys to bust their ass on every single down, to fight and claw and scratch in even meaningless games. We saw it this year when the Titans went down to Miami and beat the Dolphins. And then his final game as a Titan, they beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in a meaningless game for them and knocked the Jaguars out of the playoffs. This Titans team has shown nothing but a winner's mentality ever since Mike Vrabel has been the head coach. And very much like what Taylor Lewan and Will Compton said in their little videos that they put out, a lot of the organizational shortcomings for the Tennessee Titans were not on Mike Vrabel, and Vrabel is actually doing a good job keeping the locker room together. I think the whole disaster for the Tennessee Titans really start after they go, I believe it was 12-4 in 2021. They earned the number one seed, and they also earned Mike Vrabel a Coach of the Year nomination. He actually won the award, actually. Vrabel wins Coach of the Year in 2021. They end up getting bounced by the Cincinnati Bengals that year in the playoffs. It was an embarrassing loss for them where Ryan Tannehill threw 3 interceptions and very clearly proved he was not going to be the Titans' long-term answer at quarterback. That was where things really started to fall off the rails for the Tennessee Titans. And ever since then, in 2022, just coming over here and taking a look at the Titans' record, in 2022, they followed it up with a 7-10 season, and then in 2023 they followed it up with a 6-11 season. So back-to-back losing seasons right there for the Titans. But it all started in the 2022 offseason when the Titans made this stupid decision to trade A.J. Brown. They ended up recouping the 16th overall pick to draft Treylon Burks from the Philadelphia Eagles, a move that was primarily fueled by Titans ownership and GM at the time, John Robinson, not wanting to give A.J. Brown the money that he rightfully deserved and ended up getting paid in Philadelphia. You could tell based on videos from the Titans draft room on draft day, Vrabel was not happy at all about the Titans moving on from A.J. Brown, and I think that is the first move that signaled that Vrabel and the Titans maybe weren't going to work long term. The Titans then fired John Robinson after a really, really tumultuous 2022 season, and they go out and they hire former 49ers executive Ran Carthon to be their GM. There have been a lot of recent reports out there that have suggested that the main reason that the Titans departed from Vrabel was the fact that him and Carthon did not see eye to eye. Apparently, according to a report from Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated, that's not exactly true. Let's come over here and take a look. Speculation that he could depart has run rampant over the last month in NFL circles. I don't think this is about the relationship between he and first-year GM Ran Carthon, which those in the building appeared to be fine even as their 2023 season, which was a reset year from a roster standpoint and one with cornerstones Ryan Tannehill and contract years circled the drain. I think this is mostly about an owner, Amy Adams Strunk, with a reputation for being a bit impulsive and quick-triggered, searching for the right organizational structure, which has very clearly eluded her to this point. And for me, I feel like it's eluded her because she hasn't committed long-term to that formula. I mean, you think about all of the stuff that Mike Vrabel has done to really set the tone and the culture in this locker room, taking the team to an AFC Championship game in 2019. Yes, there are shortcomings to Mike Vrabel as a head coach. As he is a defensive-minded head coach, the Titans have cycled through offensive coordinators. In 2018, when Mike Vrabel was first hired as Titans head coach, Matt LaFleur was his offensive coordinator. LaFleur then obviously went and took the job as the Green Bay Packers head coach, where he's been very successful ever since then and has led the Packers to a playoff appearance in all but one season that he's been the Packers head coach. Then you move on to Arthur Smith, who was the offensive coordinator for the Titans in 2019 when they went to the AFC Championship game, and then again for the following season after that in 2021. Then he obviously leaves after that to go be the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. Actually, that was in 2020 when he left to go be the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons after the 2020 season, beginning of the 2021 season. Then after that, he moves on to Todd Downing. Todd Downing lasts a year and a half before he gets fired and gets a DUI in between that. It was a very bad look for the Titans organizationally, and part of the reason why their GM, John Robinson, had to fall on the sword and he got fired. And then obviously this year, they replaced their offensive coordinator with Tim Kelly, who I thought actually did a pretty decent job, especially when it came to some of the development of their rookie quarterback, Will Levis. Ryan Tannehill, as we entered the early part of this season, very clearly was not the quarterback long-term for the Tennessee Titans. Much like Taylor Lewan and Will Compton both pointed out, this organization did not have the roster that was necessary to compete at a high level in the NFL. They were going into a transitionary period, moving on potentially, or definitely moving on this coming off season from both Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry, transitioning to Will Levis as their starting quarterback. And then I didn't even talk about Malik Willis last year, where it felt like Vrabel never wanted Malik Willis in the building. He was never endorsive whenever Willis had to see the field when Ryan Tannehill was injured. He was so non-endorsive of Malik Willis that he went out and got Josh Dobbs off the street to be his starting quarterback for the final couple of games of the 2022 season. And people forget that Titans team, being completely ravaged and injury depleted and just not a very good roster overall, they ended up being one game out of making the playoffs. They went down and lost a win-in game in Jacksonville with Josh Dobbs as your quarterback. But the fact that Vrabel was able to keep that team together that long, again, is just a testament to the kind of coach Mike Vrabel is. The question becomes, will the Tennessee Titans be able to find a head coach who is a clear and obvious upgrade over Mike Vrabel? I don't really think they will. They could maybe go out and hire like a Dan Quinn, who has a very similar acumen as Mike Vrabel, a culture-building, defensive-minded head coach. Maybe they go in the direction of Ben Johnson, but if I'm Johnson, there are a lot better options out there for me. I really don't know what direction this Titans organization is going to go in without Mike Vrabel, because it felt like Vrabel was the glue that kept this organization together. And I'm going to pivot this back to Amy Adams Strunk and just the Adams family in general. We all know that historically they've been one of the worst ownership families in the NFL, from the way that Bud Adams completely exiled the team from Houston to the transition to Amy, where the team has seen nothing but real mediocrity, from Mike Mularkey being the head coach to now Mike Vrabel, who had established a culture, but organizational decisions from the top on down completely botched it. And good for Vrabel, man. He's going to land on his feet as a head coach somewhere else, possibly the New England Patriots. Still remains to be seen what happens there with Robert Kraft moving on from Bill Belichick. But Vrabel's going to land on his feet as a head coach, and he's going to double dip, getting that severance pay from the Tennessee Titans as well as the money from whatever team pays him this year. I don't feel bad for Vrabel whatsoever, and who knows, he might have had a word in this decision, just wanting to move on somewhere else. And another factor here from Amy Adams Strunk that I do not understand whatsoever. She says that the Titans did not entertain trading Vrabel because it would have been too long and convoluted of a process. We saw just last year the Denver Broncos went out and traded for Sean Payton and gave up a first and a second round pick to get him. I could totally see a team doing that for a coach of Mike Vrabel's acumen. And the fact that the Tennessee Titans weren't even willing to entertain that as a possibility is organizational incompetence on their part. This is a move that the Titans are going to regret for a long time, man. I don't understand why they did it, and it makes just complete no sense to me whatsoever. I'm curious about you guys, though, Titans Nation. Do you guys feel like Mike Vrabel being fired was the right move for your organization moving forward? And who do you guys feel like is the top candidate right now to replace him? Drop those comments down below, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are two free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out and helps us get seen by more and more NFL fans just like you and me. And until next time, guys, I am your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.